The strongest man I've ever met just told me he used to hide in closets as a little boy. I'm Shannon Scott, and this Wednesday, I'm sitting down with someone whose story will change how you think about strength, survival, and second chances. Meet Forrest Lang, military veteran, author of Angel Blue, A Song of Redemption. But before all of that, he was a child hiding from unthinkable trauma, sexual abuse, addiction that nearly destroyed him. And somehow, he found his way to redemption. This isn't just another success story. This is raw truth about what it really takes to rebuild your life from the ground up. Join us this Wednesday, January 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern on the House Mama Unity and Community podcast. Because sometimes, the most powerful conversations happen when we stop pretending everything's okay. Find us on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe to support the House Mama purpose. Some stories need to be heard.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shannon Scott. I am the host of the House Mama podcast. This week on the show, we have Forrest Lang. He is the author of the Angel Blue book. He's also widely known on social media, especially TikTok, Reels on Facebook. Hello, I'm Shannon Scott. I'm the host of the House Mama podcast. My story. I think it's better for connection, but I've not really opened up fully about, my journey up to this point. So I guess today is the day. I moved all around the world when I was a child. My dad was working for the government, and we lived on 5 out of 7 continents. We started moving overseas. First place we went was to Manila, Philippines, and we took a 23-hour flight, and I was just a toddler at that point. I have very, very small memories of being overseas, but the memories that are most important to me are the ones that played into my spirituality and who and what I am. I am today. A mystic. I am a shaman by the right of the name, as someone that sees in the dark. There's no printout paper like you would typically get if you were, a Reiki master or a Sekhmet master. The purpose of a shaman is to spend that time connecting with God. They're self-healers. In the Catholic Church, when I was younger, my mom is Catholic, my dad is Protestant. So I received my first communion in a Catholic church when we lived in Italy when I was 13 years old. I had a close relationship with God prior to that. However, religion was in our home, but it wasn't the top of the list in our home. It was more kind of I had to learn discernment very quickly. I had to learn who and what I could not actually be around in person. I can even bring it in through a phone, through a text message, through a phone call. Energy is energy. Energy is everywhere. Had experienced medical issues that almost took my life. I had an ungodly amount of inflammation in my body. I was hyperventilating. I was waking up out of my sleep, gasping for air. They couldn't regulate my heart rate, my blood pressure, my white blood cell count. I was no longer producing red blood cells. So then I was getting infusion treatments at hematology and oncology. So my heart doctor was extremely concerned and wanted to do a heart catheter, and my guides told me no. I was ready. I had the IV in. I was ready to go, and my guides very boldly everybody has something to teach you. You just have to be willing to listen, and listening is probably the most important thing that you're actually going to do in this life. It always seems to tie in every single week that the episode for the following week blends so beautifully with the episode that we did the previous week. And this week, Forrest, while I don't want to reiterate cycles, I absolutely love how this week's episode ties so heavily in with inner child healing and inner child trauma. Forrest is someone that has experienced a grotesque amount of trauma as a child from being in foster homes. And, like I said, and from the rewind, Gwenny and I spoke last week heavily about inner child healing and child trauma. So it really plays beautifully into this week's episode. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you guys to Forrest Lang.
Hi.
Hello. I'm so grateful that you're on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
nice
absolutely.
to meet everyone.
Yeah. So, like I said, we do a lot of episodes. I have all kinds of different energy healers, workers. Last week, I had my friend Gwenny on. She lives in the Netherlands, and she works heavily with inner child healing and child trauma. And when you and I had spoke on the phone, when I was talking to you about being on the podcast, I remember you saying to me that while you do talk about the things that you have been through in your life, you focus more now on the healing and the things that you progressively do in life now to help other people. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. While I appreciate and really respect how honest and open you are about, the trauma you have been through. And I'm sure you're going to touch on that. I'm very, very, very drawn to your strength, your power, your determination, and your will to guide other people that have felt that kind of trauma. So I'm really grateful for both aspects of what you have to offer. So really, I'm going to let you jump in with your story wherever you want that to go. So.
Do you always have music on your episodes like this?
Is there music?
Yeah, there's music.
Oh, so yeah, he does. So Marcus plays, he does a lot of sound healing. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
he'll play,
I like that.
frequencies. Yeah. We love that spiritual, hippie, any kind of healing that you can think of. And that's the avenue that we.
And others like cheering. That's
keep it lighthearted too. My cats are attacking my curtains right now. Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in Southern California. My mother moved here when I was very young, and I was exposed to CSAM material as a very young child. Was trafficked as a young child and experienced physical, sexual, emotional abuse in my biological home. And it took until I was 12 years old for Child Protective Services to intervene. And once they intervened, they removed me from my biological home and terminated my mom's parental rights. And I entered foster care. And when I entered foster care, it wasn't a redemption, or it didn't feel any better from the place I came from. It was the same shabby environment with loveless people. I was 12, well beyond adoptable age, and that left me vulnerable to being groomed by a predator. And that person took me to the movies, bought me snacks and good food and sodas, and paid a lot of attention to me. And even though what that person was providing wasn't real love, I didn't understand the difference as a kid. And I was just grateful for the attention and care and love. And that person eventually became my legal guardian. And when I was 16, the physical, emotional abuse and neglect had gotten so severe that person tried to take my life in a murder-suicide. And I stepped out and over the threshold of that foster home for the last time at 16, and I was on my own. And even though I had escaped the foster care system, I was still struggling with addiction, chaos, poverty, and violence, which are, in my opinion and my observation, the most common outcome of that kind of trauma. And it took many years for me to learn how to lean in and unpack what had happened. I was fortunate enough to have friends who let me stay with them and bought me food. I didn't stay outside that many nights. And one of my friends started taking me jogging. I started to gain weight because when I left my foster home, I only weighed 105 pounds.
Wow.
And I wasn't very verbal. I was very traumatized and disassociative. And by the time I was 18, I weighed 140 pounds, at which time I was very lucky to be able to join the United States Navy because they allowed people in at that time who didn't have a high school diploma. And I got into the Navy. It was difficult to submit and learn how to practice discipline and structure. And by the time I left field medical service school, I weighed 185 pounds, solid muscle. I was designated as a hospital corpsman, and I worked at Balboa Hospital, and I just wanted to forget everything that happened. I wanted to forget about the dirty homeless teenager that I had been and just be successful. And the body remembers the things that happen to us.
Yes.
And our ways of being or our habits or our subconscious, we make 85 to 95% of our decisions with that, our autopilot.
Yes.
And our autopilot is almost fully formed by the time that we are 8 years old.
Yes.
So although I did not know that I was creating what was in my life, I was creating poverty, addiction, chaos, and violence.
Yes.
And after I got home from the war, I was very fortunate to be able to participate in lots of talk therapy, personal development courses, initiation. I was fortunate enough to be able to serve a lot of these organizations that I had participated in. And I got to a place eventually where I found that I had discovered peace,
yes,
and joy, and a reality way of being in recovery where the bad stuff still happened. It never went away. It may always be there. It most likely always will be there. I don't know that anyone's been able to change the past yet. And I don't have to be grateful that those things happen to have peace and joy.
Right.
I can be grateful for my recovery, the people that helped me, and the good fortune that I had to survive.
Yes.
Because strong people who have people helping them, who work hard, oftentimes still don't make it. There is never a guarantee. And I decided that I was ready to begin sharing my story with the world. And I decided after the last realization, which was a really heavy one and a very grief realization, that those things actually did happen, because I was split kind of into two segments where, oh, it wasn't that bad, and yes, it did happen. And I decided to travel. And when I wanted to get a passport, I couldn't find my birth certificate. And I've always been Forrest Lang for my whole life. And now this is like almost 10 years ago. and I couldn't find my birth certificate. So I contacted the state that I was born in, New York, and their health department used to issue the birth certificates.
Mm-hmm.
And they discontinued doing that, and a private company took over, one of those background investigation companies.
Right.
And they said that my birth certificate didn't exist. And I was reasonably upset.
Right.
I called the company. I kept getting more supervisors. They said that they don't have any record of Forrest Lang. And like the third supervisor I talked to asked me if this other name meant anything to me. And in that moment, I remember very clearly, I was on University Avenue near Park Boulevard in San Diego. And I was leaving a driveway of a coffee shop while I was on speaker. And when they said that name, I started screaming at this lady that that's not my name. And I kept screaming that a long time after she hung up. And then I entered another layer of therapy and remembering and EMDR.
Yes,
And
I did EMDR.
In the process of that, I wrote Angel Blue, A Song of Redemption.
Yes. And
part of that, I guess, was for me. I guess everybody does those things somewhat for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt that it was what was happening to me and the good stuff in my life made it relevant so that it would help other people.
Yes.
And I spent a couple of years, and I had therapy the whole time I wrote that book. And when I finished it and completed it, I had this kind of crazy, gnarly vision that I say affirmations in the morning in the shower, and I was just saying my affirmations, and I had this vision that writing Angel Blue exploded me like the Death Star, like just, like with sparks just flying everywhere. And then I had a vision of like that many people as those sparks are walking back towards me and bringing me a piece of it back. And I fell to my knees in gratitude and wept. And that is happening now. Like you're bringing me a piece back right now. Every time somebody reads it and gives a feedback, every time like there's some new level of exposure or another survivor reaches out. A boy from New Mexico saw my stuff on social media and decided to tell his mom that the man in the neighborhood was doing bad stuff to him. First he told his best friend, and his best friend said it was happening to him too from the same man. And then they told his mom, and that guy went to jail, and those kids got justice, and it stopped. All of that is part that vision of making an impact on the world and healing the world in the way that I can, that serves my highest good and serves the highest good of those that I come into contact with.
I love everything that you just said. I've been in the recovery world for actually January 19th. It'll be 19 years since I went to rehab. I share a lot of the same experiences as you, different path. And as soon as I mentioned that you were going to be on the podcast, so many people contacted me and let me know how much you have changed the trajectory of their own trauma. So, and these are the promises. These are the promises that you hear about when you're in the recovery world. So
absolutely. And everybody's recovery can look different too.
Yes.
I'm not a poster boy for 12-step programs.
No. I don't really think anybody is, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess that's not true. I believe everybody is. And we all carry a little bit of that recovery with us. And then when we speak our journey, there's so many different paths that get people into addiction. So every time you speak about your journey, you do become a voice for the recovery community. Yeah.
Well, I've found some absolutes.
Excuse me.
Right? Like for the addict alcoholic,
yeah,
sobriety and abstinence is ground zero for spiritual growth.
Yes.
We can't grow if we're still in our addiction.
Yes.
And the second one is that the antidote to addiction is connection.
Yes.
Absolute, just connection. To be able to love someone, we have to know them. And for someone to love us, we have to let them love us. And a lot of that, 99% of that is just time together.
Yes.
Bodies in the same room.
Yes. Very much so. So what would you say your biggest, you kind of briefly touched on, I did EMDR as well. I did EMDR when I was 20 years old. And I still remember it to this day, and I don't have much memory. But I remember EMDR changing my life. So what were, throughout your healing journey, what were the most poignant things that you can remember that really helped you shed the pain to get to the power and the heal?
I didn't have any.
No, none?
It was all relevant, and it was all work, and it was all a slow process, and everything helped.
Yes.
There were times when I got some pretty quick relief. I did a 5-day journey into initiation, where I went with 12 other warriors to Malibu. And there's requirements for initiation. There's no drugs. There's no therapy necessarily. The requirements for initiation are that you're separated from your regular life. You're on sacred ground, guided by elders or elder wisdom. You face your death, and you receive a transitional object. And there's many ways to facilitate initiation. The Mankind Project does a pretty good job, but this group did it particularly for warfighters, and that had a pretty big impact. I haven't been suicidal, and I have not self-harmed since I went through that program at 38 years old.
Nice.
And I'm 48 now, so that's over a decade. But I haven't found, everybody wants this one thing, right? What's the one thing that's going to fix me? Well, if you're out of shape, what's the one exercise that's going to get you in shape? All of them.
Yes.
All of them. Whatever the things are that you can do. Maybe you've got an arm missing, so you can't do like double arm curls. So cool. Do one arm curls. Do the exercises that you can do.
I love that.
Maybe you're like me and you have a back injury and can't jog anymore. That doesn't mean that I can't exercise. I can get on a rowing machine and get my blood flow going and sweat while I watch a Netflix movie. Talk therapy was helpful. Ayahuasca was helpful. EMDR was helpful. Large group awareness training was helpful. Having a spiritual practice was helpful. Meditation was helpful. It is. All of those things are. And it's not like we get a black belt and then we're just all done.
Yes.
It takes continued work and habits and new habits. And it takes emotional involvement, a reason why, an emotional reason why I want to change something, and repetition to create new things in our life.
Yes.
And there's also still consistent realizations. I grew up to be a narcissistic, sociopathic serial killer. That's where, that's what the grooming was.
Yes.
And I wanted to be something different. And good and evil is a choice.
Yes.
And empathy is learned.
Yes.
So I made choices that I wanted to do the right thing, even if I was unable to at the time, even if I was still violent, even if I was unaware that I was gaslighting. my partner, if I was unaware that I was in a poverty mindset, I wanted to change those things and I wanted to improve my life. So that way, and I acquired humility. So that way, when a teacher pointed out a defect to me, instead of staying defensive and hurt, once I got through the defensive and hurt, I got to go, well, is this person right?
Yes.
Are they correct? And really examine my life. Am I acting in this way? And being in a place where I am willing to notice things that I don't know about myself.
Man, I am very spiritually inclined. I teach people, nervous system regulation. I've done a lot of studies into all kinds of spirituality, from, Christianity to Muslim to Reiki healing to Sekhmet healing, nervous system regulation, rewording and rewiring, your known cycles. I had the same issues growing up because of my, trauma, neglect, abuse. I was very narcissistic. I was very manipulative, and people would tell me all the time. But I was so stuck in my trauma at, the young age. It wasn't until it was almost 19 years ago. So it was when I went to rehab, I had my very first spiritual awakening. And I have gone through 19 years of the same process of, it took a little bit of everything. So I just love that you said that, because so many people come to me, and they're looking for one way. And there is no, one thing. Once you peel that one layer back with, this kind of healing, you're going to get to a deeper level that's going to require a deeper, level of spiritual healing. So I just adore that you said that. Trauma is so loud in the world right now, and so many people are going to need to hear that.
I think of it like a garden. I was explaining it to a friend of mine from high school the other day, who's just now beginning to really open up into her healing from, because a lot of us went through some pretty heavy stuff.
Yes.
And I told her that, okay, so maybe I have a piece of land. I have a plot of land, and somebody dumped radioactive, toxic oil sludge shit fuck on the ground.
Yeah.
And one part of that, and that piece of land may never bear fruit.
Right.
It may always be toxic and gross.
Right.
But if that's all that's on my land, I'm really bummed.
Right.
And if I start planting a garden around it, and then my garden spreads, and pretty soon I've got this big, beautiful garden, and I'm bigger. It's bigger than that piece of ground that is not good.
Yes.
And I haven't found that the not good goes away. Maybe it does. I don't pretend to know. But in my experience so far, it has not. I am just bigger.
Yes. Yes. I have experienced trauma going away, for myself. Excuse me. I have definitely experienced the end. However, my full and firm belief is that your brain is, it's an organ. It stores memories. The memories remain, but the peace is the end.
There's
peace.
two people that I want to be proud of me. There's two people who I really care what they think of me in my life.
Yes.
The first one is me at 5 years old.
Yes.
And the second one is me the moment I die. Those are the ones that, and that brings me peace knowing that right now, those two are proud of me.
Yes. Yes. I tell people that same thing. My goodness, I'm so glad you're on. I tell people that as well. I do believe healing ends when that inner peace is louder. Yeah, it's stronger.
Yeah, and I guess it would just depend how you think of it. Right. I just don't think you can erase the past.
No, it doesn't go away. you know, like I said, your brain it's an organ that stores memories. And, you know, just like you said, it stores in your fascia, it stores in your nervous system.
And I still have it in my body. Today, I went to the base to go get some groceries, and I stopped in the gas station to grab a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just feeling tense. It was just a go-to. I was stressed. I'm headed up to San Bernardino to give like a PowerPoint presentation on familial trafficking on Thursday. I've never done anything like that before by myself, where I go with like professional people and sit on a panel and bring a pile of books. Right. And then I'm getting ready to go to Scotland to give a TEDx in February. Right. And my wife is 8 months pregnant. And I just started a new business, and I've got a lot going on right now. Right. And I was just feeling like tension and I just had a moment of clarity when I got a cup of coffee. I was like, do I get a choice in how I feel right now? Do I have a choice? And that was just a question that I asked myself. And I chose, regardless of how I feel, to enjoy the day. And I still feel a little bit stressed and overwhelmed, but it's better. And I don't know that I get a choice whether or not this tension is in my body today. Maybe the stuff I do will alleviate it, and maybe it won't. But I can still choose to be bigger and still choose to enjoy this day, because it's the last day that I will have. I still get to choose to show up to being used for good today on your podcast. Yes. To talk to your beautiful listeners. Yes. And you and your awesome dude backstage who's like, Marcus has this like groovy music going. And I love him. I still get to choose to pack what I can into this day. That way, when I lay my head down tonight, I will feel like I accomplished and good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nervous system regulation. That's rewiring. And, you know, I teach people to speak to their bodies. I had a shoulder surgery. It's been almost 2 years. February 8th, it'll be 2 years. And I briefly passed away during that surgery. When I woke up from that surgery, and for a year and a half after that surgery, I'm actually towards the end of my physical healing now. I actually had to speak to my body all day, every day, to regulate my nervous system, to regulate my heart. I had dealt with, you know, so much trauma prior to that point, and I was always really big on always having a smile. I was always sunshine. I didn't speak about my problems. I held them into myself. I sat with my maker regularly, but my body never forgot. So by the time I got to that shoulder surgery, my heart was in such bad shape at that point. I couldn't maintain. So I spent a year and a half speaking to myself every single day. I would speak to my heart. If I couldn't get my heart rate down, I'd lay in the dark and in the quiet with my eyes closed. And I would just focus on my heart calming down. I would feel my nerves all through my body firing off. I would be gasping for air because I didn't realize I had held my breath for 20 years. I had to remind myself to breathe. And, you know, speaking to your body on a regular basis it's how you re-regulate your nervous system. And not just our body. The things that we say out loud matter. Yes. And not necessarily like storytelling. Storytelling is different than declaration. Mm-hmm. Declaration is stating what is. Storytelling is what happened. Yes. And declaration is also what will happen. Mm-hmm. So if I just mindlessly repeat the thoughts in my head, like this sucks, I can't believe I have to sit in this traffic. Yes. Work sucks. I can't wait to be done. I'm waiting. I can't wait to be done waiting. Mm-hmm. Right? Waiting is the stupidest thing that human beings do. Because you could tell somebody that they're waiting for something and they immediately become unhappy. Yes. I don't wait for things. I am present regardless of what's going on, if I'm in a waiting room or if I'm on a roller coaster. Uh-huh. Because they don't get to dictate how I feel. Yes. About my circumstance. And you could take I was watching a TV show the other day where there was a man, maybe it was real or maybe it was a story, like a fictional story, I don't remember, but he was in the jail and he was a deputy. And then he got arrested and he got put in the cell. And his whole demeanor was very different.
I bet.
But he was the same man in the same building. One was free and one was not. And that was his choice, how he felt. Free or not.
Yep. We call it the space in between.
I have felt 100% free in places where I was physically restrained. And I have felt 100% in prison sitting on the beach.
Yes. Yes. Man, that's powerful. It's powerful.
I'm not saying that I'd be happy to go to jail right now. Like, nobody wants to go to jail, but what I'm saying is that we can choose.
Yes.
We can always choose our reaction to our circumstances. Always. Always.
And that's we teach that actually. It's not about what's done to you, it's about how you respond to that. And we call that waiting the space in between. A lot of people, they don't know how to slow down. They don't understand how to slow down until they're forced into a position where they actually have to slow down. You're forced into a position where you had to slow down. You either had to, continue on the way you were going or choose a different path. So you chose to slow down and enjoy that space in between and remain present. It's very important too that you said that, because I very heavily try to teach people of that also. They have a very hard time slowing down and remaining present. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. Most good things aren't easy.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Not even close to easy. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do, but it's worth it.
But worth it and worthwhile. And I wake up every morning next to the woman of my dreams.
Yes.
We have a tiny little beach house. I can hear the waves crashing into the cliffs. My little dog comes and nudges my phone out of my hand while I'm drinking coffee, so I will pet him. My daughter is grown and successful. Yes. And I have a son on the way, like a surprise son at 48 years old. And fuck what they say, it's not a geriatric pregnancy. She's fine. I don't care what they call it. We're having a baby. And I get to do what I want to do. I get to create art for a living, and I created that, right? I'm the one that made the decisions to put myself in that position to be able to create art and get up when I want to and go to bed when I want to. I created a beautiful life when I found out that I had the power to do so.
Yes.
I didn't know that I had the power to do that.
Correct. No, you're isolated. Your nervous system was dysregulated from, the time you entered this life. So you were in constant survival, fight or flight, always with someone trying to direct.
Someone hurting me. They hurt me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't okay. And I'm not grateful for it. And it didn't make me strong.
Yeah.
It made me weak. And it slowed me down.
Yes.
And I will never say that I don't regret that shit happening or that I'm glad that it happened. Like, I'm not. I don't think that that's necessary to have peace and joy. No, everybody's journey is different. It's absolutely not necessary. No. No. So what do you do now? What do you do now for your community and people around you? Well, right now, I create art. I'm a tattooer.
Yes.
And I really enjoy that. I host a veteran meditation meeting every Monday. So that's tonight at 7. And I speak. And there's something that I came up against sharing my story publicly. Something that's pure evil and right under the surface. And yet visible and prevalent everywhere once we open our eyes to it. And it's the culture that excuses her.
Yes.
So when if I disclose that I got molested, people are like, oh my God, he should die. And I'm like, well, but actually he was a she. And I was 12 to 16. They're like, oh, what are you talking about? Was she hot? Lucky guy? Yeah. Wow. You really have a problem with that? What are you, gay? Like, what's it? And it's a subconscious culture that people don't even realize is there. It's part of our cultural subconsciousness that little children are somehow lucky to be violated and stolen from if the pedophile is female.
Yes.
And some people accuse me of attacking women or having some hatred for women by bringing that to light. But there are women survivors too.
Yes.
Who struggle with the same thing and maybe even worse. And my posture is that children are off limits, period, no matter what anyone looked like, no matter who asked who to do what. And the joke, if it was ever funny, if child rape was ever funny, it stopped being funny a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I am disheartened by seeing glamorization, glorification, and nostalgia about that in popular culture and our movies and music.
Yes.
In general conversation, overtly and covertly, implicitly and explicitly. And it's time for that culture to end.
I'm with you.
There doesn't need to be a worse punishment or we get to treat that the same, because the greatest danger to any civilization is its failure to protect its children.
Correct.
And we are fucking failing miserably in that. The first step to healing and recovery after that evil was inflicted on us as children is disclosure. And there are many, many people who are afraid to even disclose because they know they'll just get ridiculed and made fun of and disregarded and the opposite of validated.
Yes.
And it's my goal right now in my life to end that culture, completely end it.
I'm grateful for that. I'm big on forgiveness. Very, very big on forgiveness. I truly am the type of person that, washes the feet. But the only thing that it sets me on fire is
forgiveness and justice are different.
Correct. Yeah.
They're very different. And forgiveness is not everybody automatically, and I understand that everyone automatically thinks about forgiveness when we talk about that particular crime, right? Which is unnecessary to even step into anywhere near the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Just not necessary. You don't start with the 9th step when you're doing the 12 steps. You don't start with making amends. You do other stuff first. And if a person chooses to forgive, they need to understand what forgiveness is.
Correct.
Right? And many people don't understand what it is. And it's very simple. It's eliminating and alleviating, clearing away resentment and discontinuing revenge.
Yes.
Those are the only two things that forgiveness are.
Yes.
Justice is entirely different. So I could forgive the people who did that stuff to me, yet still feel that they deserve the death penalty because that's justice. Yes. I am not going to go and take personal revenge on those people.
Correct.
So I just think there's a lot of misunderstanding about that aspect.
I struggle with even comprehending how you could hurt a child. I actually made a post the other day. There was I don't even remember her name. She had, the day she turned 18, she started an OnlyFans page and she made $3 million on that day. I made a post about it and I was very surprised to see the amount of people that were more concerned with the fact that that she was selling her content as opposed to the fact that she was 18. And a very valid point was brought up that she, started that page when she was 18 years old, which means the content that she created was from when she was 17 years old. So she made $3 million on the day she turned 18 from people that over-sexualize children. And I am failing to understand.
Wait, how did she not get arrested for posting CSAM?
She was 18 on the day that she posted it.
Yeah, but if it was filmed before she was 18.
Well, that was, she never said that it was, but the amount of content that she released on the day that she turned 18, it seemed unreasonable that she created all of that content on the day that she turned 18. So we were toying with the idea that, you know, she had potentially started creating that content when she was 17, built up the amount of content, and then posted it.
I don't like to get into the gray areas though, man. Like 18's an adult. Adults can do adult things at 18. I'm not interested in 18-year-olds, but
Right.
I don't like to get too far into the weeds on that because by the time I was 16, the person who was a child molester wasn't really interested in me anymore because I looked too much like a grown up. And that's a different sickness thing going on. Maybe it has to do with some kind of fear of death or obsession with youth or something. But that's just not my arena. I think the porn industry is gnarly and exploitive. And I think that it might be time to raise the age of consent.
Yes.
Because the kids now at 18 seem about as mature as my generation was when we were 14 or 15.
Right.
And it seems like it's easier to exploit them. It's harder for them to, like, for example, I won't say his name because I'll throw him under the bus, but one of the kids that I was giving a tattoo to, he's just like 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he texted me about his tattoo. And I called him. Mm-hmm. And we talked. And then we hung up. And then he texted me his questions. Right? So he's used to being, and the young generation is used to being insulated in a way that they communicate, where they don't have to make snap decisions with a conversation. Right. There's just a lot of differences now. And if that's really an issue, what's that?
It's by design.
Yeah, but if that's really an issue, then we should raise the age of consent to 20. I
agree. 18, to vote. You're telling me that's a teen. That's a teenager. That's, to me, I hear 15, 18. You're a teenager. You are not, in my mind.
Yeah, like I think Elvis was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley liked 14-year-old girls. He's a fucking weirdo. Yes. Right? But that's different than what happened to me.
Correct.
It's different. It's a different kind of evil, and it's more evil when you do that to a fucking 6-year-old.
Yes.
And I think that for me, I stay very on track with my mission because I don't want to get washed out in the weeds in different stuff. I'm fighting pure evil. Yes. Pure fucking evil. Not some bone-headed kid. Like, I thought about it when my kid was like 15, 16. I was like, if some 18-year-old did something or like whatever, and it was quote unquote consensual, I'd be like, dude, you've got two choices, right? And I thought about this. I was like, you can show up at my house, I can beat the fuck out of you, and you can never see her again, or I can call the police and you can be a registered sex offender for the rest of your life. Yep. You know, like that's just me. And maybe people will like try to rip me apart and say I'm fucking whatever for that. I don't care. My focus is fighting against whatever evil it is that causes people to do that to kids, to little kids.
It's an overexploitation of sexualization. And we started it when we decided that 18 was a legal age to be sexually gratified. And and then we threw in the social media and the references in children's movies, the references in adult movies. And then, you know, there it goes.
I don't understand it. And I
don't either.
I stopped trying to understand evil. I think that kind of evil is the same as causes people to commit mass shootings.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's just incomprehensible, unfathomable, and the same kind of evil that causes people to do shit like cartel violence, where they hack bodies up and stuff. Like, it's just beyond what I even need to understand.
Same.
And I stopped trying.
Yeah. I have always very much been a protector of children for that exact reason.
And I like, there was this dude in the 12-step groups. He's like 50 something, always trying to talk to like these 18-year-old girls and stuff. And my friend like wanted me to go beat him up, or like, I'm like, they're adults, you know? And I did talk to him. I'm like, dude, you're a weirdo. You know, like, I think you're a weirdo. And he got upset and he's like, no, that's just how the culture is because I have a lot of money. And I'm like, that's cool. You're a fucking weirdo, bro. Like, I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to hang out with you. Like, that's weird. But there's nothing really to be done, you know, other than if people want to get together and change laws.
I believe it should happen. I mean, psychologically speaking, I've studied psychology for 20 years. Psychologically speaking, a, you know, child of 18 years old that then decides to, you know, sell her body, typically was raised without a strong man in the home. So then, you know, an older man comes along, and that was where, you know, the quote unquote daddy issues come from. But
again, like,
on that. And then they go younger and younger and younger, because at that point, an 18-year-old no longer gratifies them. So they just continue to go, you know, younger. And they also say hurt people, but
no, that's not true. That's
not
true.
I don't believe it either.
There's new research coming out that I was talking to Clark Fredericks about this on his podcast, Free Like Me. And I got to look up the study, but there was a study done at a prison for sex offenders. And they had asked all of these men whether or not they were abused as children. And all of them said they were. And most of them were lying. They didn't pass the lie detector test. And the research shows that the percentiles aren't that much different than the rest of the population. And I think that's just an excuse made up by bad people. Now, children, on the other hand, I don't know. You know, like my older brother, that shit happened to him. He did it to me. It happened to me. I didn't do it to anybody. I don't know. You know, like I have a hard time condemning a child forever for some fucked up shit that they did. Now, if they continue to do it as an adult, head first in the wood chipper, you know, like whatever.
It's learned behavior.
Maybe not. I don't know. You know, I'm not,
as a child,
not an expert, because I learned it and I didn't do it.
There's different avenues, you know, everybody's just like everybody's healing, you know, journey is different. Everybody's hurt journey is different as well, you know, so it would be more relevant with your brother than it would be with you. Learned behavior is it's the same as, you know, choosing narcissism or manipulation. You are raised, you know, in a narcissistic and manipulative environment. You then had that learned behavior. It became your dysregulated nervous system, remembering what you were taught. So everything leads back to the nervous system.
I've heard that like every 1 out of 100 people, though, is a sociopath. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard.
I believe that, yes.
And then there's like a smaller percentage that are like psychopaths. So,
I do truly believe that. I also believe in demons, and I speak with, you know, spirits. I work with them. I'm very spiritually inclined. So you can also be very controlled by entities outside of your realm of understanding.
You're not aware. If you're not aware. Absolutely.
Yes, if you're not aware. Once you become aware, though, you don't stop seeing them. I see them all the time. I work with them. You can also have very deep-rooted ancestral sexual trauma. And that will pass down through your families as well. That actually ended with me, but it was in my ancestral line, and it was very, very hidden. And I had absolutely no idea actually until December of 2023. And I found out that my grandfather, his mother and her siblings were all being sexually abused by their parents. And my grandfather dealt with that trauma and never assaulted my mother, but sexually, but physically, mentally, emotionally. It passes down through ancestral lines, without a doubt. So yeah, it's very deep rooted in our society. And I honestly believe the first place to nip it in the bud is to stop over sexualizing 18-year-old children, their children.
Yeah.
So I believe that's where we have to start, because it seems like that's where people really start to disconnect their mind from what a child actually is. Your brain isn't even fully developed until you're 25 years old. So if we were to look at, the physiology of your actual body, you're technically still a child physically.
Well, you still see a pediatrician at 18.
Oh, right.
My kid
Right.
was so mad, dude, when she had to go to the doctor and it was her pediatrician.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm saying. We have to really draw that back as far as, young child offenders.
Well, I hope it goes that way, but right now my fight is not there.
Yeah. I love where your fight is.
Yeah.
I love that not only for you, but I love it for the people that get to watch and listen to you.
The age of disclosure, like the average age is still 52.
Really?
There's so much shame.
Yeah. I was going to say.
So much like fear of not being believed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And by the time the average person discloses,
yep,
the offender has affected 90 lives.
Yep.
Fucking
I'm not
crazy.
Surprised. I work with a lot of people on releasing shame and guilt as well. It festers and it grows, and you actually will feed the darkness by allowing that shame and guilt. You will continue to feed your own darkness.
And I think it manifests in poverty, addiction, chaos, and violence.
100%.
In my observation, that's the after effect.
100%. Yes. Those were all things that I struggled with. Gratefully, I started figuring it out. 19
and then learning to cut chaos out of my life was so awesome. Like recognizing chaos as something to be put out and eliminated and avoided.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Wow, how freeing is that?
Yes.
Because that's something I couldn't even put a word to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would notice it. Like I knew it was around me. I knew that I grew up in it.
Mm-hmm.
But then like being free from it and recognizing it, being able to put a name to it and going, I don't tolerate that in my life.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
It makes you tremble at first. You're like, no. Do you sit in silence a lot? Do you prefer a lot of silence?
I do.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I speak to people heavily about that as well. They always they're like, oh, but the loud music saves me, or, I have to have the TV on. And I try to teach them that's just a distraction from, what you're trying to actually listen to heal. So,
well, learning to find the observer position.
Yes.
So the observer position is non-reactive to stimuli, and we get to choose. And it's easier to find the observer position in silence. Once we've found it, we don't necessarily need silence anymore. I've meditated on a busy city street at a cafe with horns honking and been just fine. I'm just observing. But to find that position, silence can help.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love silence. Yeah, I can ground pretty much anywhere I am now. But yeah, my silence is where I sit. I sit with my maker. I sit with myself. It's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. It's beautiful.
And you were talking about inner child rescue, and I don't know if somebody taught me this meditation or if I learned part of it and came up with part of it, but I used it probably well over 100 times. And the way the meditation goes, like I'll pretend right now that I had a memory of somebody hurting me at the house on G Street in Oxnard. So I would sit in this chair, close my eyes, imagine myself getting up out of my body and really, really imagine like that I see my feet walking across the floor, going out my front door, opening the gate, down the steps, down the path to the street, and I would see a helicopter coming to land on the street. And the helicopter would land, and the soldiers would get out, tell me to get in the helicopter. I get in, the helicopter takes off, and I'm going to go through it kind of fast, but I would imagine it slow as it's happening. The helicopter flies through a portal back in time to that house, lands in the street. I get out with the soldiers. They go in, they kick the fucking door in. They capture or kill or tie up whoever is hurting me. And I pick up little Forrest and I go, hey, buddy, I'm you and I'm big now. And I'm here to rescue you. And you're safe now. And it's going to be okay. And I love you. And I pick him up. I put him in my arms. I run out to the helicopter. The helicopter takes off, flies through another portal, lands in a clearing in the woods. I get out of the helicopter, walk across the grass, and obviously a lot slower, right, than I'm doing this now. I go to a tree, I push a door in, I see the roots like disconnect. I walk down these steps, 13 steps, I count them. I push another door open, the roots break open, and there's another clearing, and there's a gigantic fucking tree house with a lion, like a no shit lion guarding the door. I bring little Forrest in there at whatever age he is whatever room he goes in. And I go, this is your home now. You're safe. I'm with you always. I love you. Everything's going to be okay now. Here's everything you could have ever wanted or needed. And then I leave him there, back across the clearing, close the door, back up the 13 steps, out, close the door, get in the helicopter. Helicopter takes off, flies through the portal, lands in the street, and I imagine myself walking back to my body. I have fucking wept every time I did that meditation. Every single time that I went and got a piece of myself that was stuck back there alone and hurting. And I am complete now. If I have another memory of something, I will go get him again. I've even gone and got myself at 23 years old.
Yes.
I went and got myself from the war. I've gotten all these frozen, hurting parts of myself and brought them home to my treehouse.
What you're doing is remote viewing. Has anyone ever told you that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's astral projecting and remote viewing. So, that might be something you want to independently, that might be your next step. But yeah.
I don't know. I try to stay on this plane, you know, because like I'm a regular dude. I'm a blue collar dude. I don't want to get way too far out anywhere because the people that need me
are right here.
The ones that really need me are at the beginning. They're at the fucking beginning. And if I get crystals and robes, and not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, if you want to do that, that's cool with you. It's just not for me. You know, like, I want to stay right here.
I'm a ground zero person, too. Yeah. I am very spiritually inclined. I do work heavily in, you know, everything spiritual. But my personal path is right at ground zero as well. Yeah.
And my message has been a lot. I did ayahuasca and I saw death.
Yeah.
I saw what it's like on the other side. At least that's what my vision was. Yes. And I'm still cool with being like right here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're a protector. So the lion that you see is representative of protection. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're a protector.
Lions are pretty cool. I don't know if I'd want to hang out with a lion though. They're kind of scary.
Well, yeah, they're supposed to be. They protect, you know?
Yeah, but in real life, they'll eat you.
Uh-huh. That's the king of the jungle. You hear me?
They're cool to think
ground
about.
Zero.
As a spiritual symbol, they're pretty cool, but I don't know if I want to be near a real one.
No, I don't think I would want to be either. I'm not.
Some people dig that. They like go do the big cat thing, and like I see people with their kids next to them. I'm like, dude, I can bring your kid next to a lion, bro. You're crazy.
No, I don't have that kind of adrenaline rush anymore. You know, I go the speed limit.
My motorcycle. I like riding my motorcycle.
Oh, see, I don't even have an adrenaline rush like that either.
I just really dig it. I feel I like riding horses too, but there's not a lot of horses in Southern California.
Really?
I dig it. Yeah.
I'm surprised there's not a lot of horses there.
Well, not where I live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the beach, and everybody's houses and properties are pretty small.
Okay. Yeah.
There are once you go east.
All right, Forrest. What do you want to leave people with?
You are loved. You are enough. You are valuable. Your life is a precious and priceless gift. The chances of your birth are about the same as winning the lottery 4 times in a row. Your life has meaning. Your story's not over. And if you're hurting, maybe just let us love you back together for a little while.
Beautiful. Man, I'm very grateful for you.
Grateful for you too.
Really. It's not saying that I'm grateful either that you experienced what you experienced. However,
I didn't think that.
Yeah, I am. The world needs you. Truly.
The world needs you too.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you being on.
I love the name of your show too. It's so sick. House
so
Mama.
I've always been that house mama. I've always cooked for people. I will cook. I will throw down for 100 people. I love it.
No, I love that.
I've always taken care of everybody. So they nicknamed me House Mama about 15 years ago. When I was thinking, I was like, what do I want my show to be called? The only thing I could think of in my head was House Mama, because I'm sitting here trying to guide people like a mother, you know, trying to bring on.
You're not trying, you're doing, girl. You're doing.
Yeah.
You ain't trying shit.
Thank you. That's funny, because I say that to people all the time. They're always like, I'm trying. I'm like, you're actively doing it. Like, that's not trying, that's doing. I appreciate you so much. This is my love. It's my passion. I just want, I want to heal people. I want to help people heal themselves. And I want to teach them realistic, physical, emotional, spiritual ways that they can find peace. Find peace, and then pass that peace on to their children, as opposed to passing down pain. Generational pain is so real, and it just doesn't have to exist. So I'm grateful for you. Congratulations on your son. You're going to be an excellent father again. I'm happy. I'm just happy for you. I'm happy for your life. I was telling Marcus, I was talking to him. I was like, he's just such a nice person. He's just so nice. Like, it's just so, like, you just felt like sunshine. You have a yellow around you. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for the space.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Have a good night.
Yep. You too. Take care.
Bye.
Wow. Okay. Man, that was great. I've always been very, very, very passionate about children. The only quote I've ever had on my Facebook page has remained, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. I have been 3 different parents to all 3 of my children. Each one of my children, I learned a little bit something more about how to be a better parent to them, while also experiencing the healing of my own trauma and pain. So my passion for children runs so deep. I do become a very, very big protector when it comes to kids, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. Like we were touching on, there's quote unquote the age of consent at 16, quote unquote, adult at 18. I guess that's just a matter of, opinion. But like Forrest said, to have a small child, my God, that's just an act of complete darkness. That's a demon, and there's no place for it in this world or the next. So we really need to protect our children. And if that starts at 18, so that we can start going back and understanding that, man, I'm stuttering on my words. This is such a difficult conversation for me. It always has been. But I appreciate Forrest. I appreciate the power that he's putting back out into the world. I appreciate the understanding that he has, not only of his own individual and personal spirituality, but of his own healing journey. I appreciate that he vocalizes it so loud and that he stands up against people that believe that if you are harmed by a woman, that you're not actually harmed. I appreciate his voice. I appreciate him speaking truth. We avoid truth a lot in this world because we're afraid to offend or push away friends, family, relatives. And that's no longer the case. At this point in time, we are in the age of Aquarius. So what you are not changing, you are choosing. When you know better, do better. And children should always be off limits regardless. Period. That's it. That's it for me. That's it for me. That's the one thing in this world that I will never back down from, is that our children are to be protected, period. Yeah. His healing journey on the other side, though, and his ability to give back to other people, I just am at a loss for words. He's extremely powerful, beautiful heart, and he's going to do really great things, which, he's already doing in this world. So I'm excited to be able to share that love with the people in my life that follow the podcast or follow me on Facebook. So I am going to leave you guys with the reminder that these children are our responsibility. We talk a lot about healing the adult, but we wouldn't have to heal so many adults if we were coherent and comprehensive of what was actually happening to our children. And if we stood up and vocalized it and defended them before it got to a point where we were then healing broken adults. So I always say, let's raise children that don't have to recover from their childhood. My passion for children runs very deep. So I'm glad you guys got to sit in today. Thanks for watching the show. Thank you, Forrest, for being on the show. And we're all just walking each other home, guys. If no one told you today, I love you. We'll see you guys.
5 days in Costa Rica paradise with mind, body, emotion ceremonies for only $1,666. I am talking about the Sacred Light Spring Retreat happening May 2nd to 6th at Jocko Beach, hosted by shamanic energy guide Marcus Crystallite, his queen Rhonda Clark, and his family. Picture this. You are staying right on the beach at Jocko Bay Towers, experiencing sunset sailing, legendary waterfalls, and connecting with sloths and monkeys at Manuel Antonio National Park. Your days are filled with cacao ceremonies, beach yoga, divine union teachings, and sound baths, while your evenings feature heart-made vegan meals and bioluminescent adventures. Airport transportation included, payment plans available, but you will need your passport ready. For just $1,666, you get 5 transformative days with your soul tribe. Quick spaces are limited, so register through the Jotform link below or visit li.sten.2 Sacred Light Retreats. Questions? Email marcus@marcustut23@gmail.com. See you in paradise this spring. Wholeness, balanced love.